Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can, and I continue with Experience 112, Blind. Now, I've just entered, Lea has just entered the Tyrant's world, but before I go further, I have a bunch of files to read regarding the Tyrants. So, I've read that already, from Jack's perspective, about traveling to the Abyss. So, instead, let's read his actual files. Friendly communication protocol. Okay, this is probably useful. The friendly protocol consists of two steps. First, one must identify oneself by indicating one's caste, then specify one's state or one's mood. Numerous experiments have permitted the creation of a list of states. They come in pairs, state A and the opposite state B. The inventory of known states follows. Conciliating, aggressive, curious, disrespectful, exalted, apathetic, calm, nervous, submissive, dominant. Our study reveals that optimal responses, those preventing conflict, are those tagged as opposites. So basically, if I speak to any of the tirades, I have to answer the opposite of what they say, I guess. If a tirade expresses as a type A state, the best response is that of a type B state. The perfect response is always the opposite state. It remains the only way to secure trust with an interlocutor in order to destabilize it. Emotion, pleasure, want, joy, enchantment, restraint. Healing breath. Danger. That's a lot of combinations, really. If I ever have to do it in a hurry, like talk with one of the tirades, it's going to be pretty difficult, actually. Then again, it would be interesting to see a game over state, because it has never happened up to this point. Lea has never died or anything. The uncontested victory of the Eden Project is the development of a language pack module. A pack permitting the synthesis on demand of a pheromone amidst the 7 known pheromones, providing the basics for Tyrant's language. Its use requires some practice, but eventually becomes quite natural. The first row of a button on the top of the apparatus responds to the different pheromones emitted by the language pack, alpha, beta, gamma. When the cursor hovers over a pheromone, it displays its name, its chemical composition, its effect at a normal concentration, and its effect at a high concentration. The last line describes the opposite effects, generated by adding the omega pheromone to the mix. Lastly, the bottom button regulates the emission. Once the pheromones are combined and placed into the 2 bottom boxes, the middle button is pushed to launch the emission. Following are the basic tirade language concepts, which will later be shown to be very contextual and vary in syntax based on the context. Okay, so this is the repeat of the thingamajig list from before. Danger, abandon, escape, proceed. Pain, disgust, sadness, terror, aggressiveness. Okay. Language pack technical file. The language pack is not a high-tech device. It contains neither a printed circuit nor a computer chip. The translator is more like a vocal prosthesis used by deaf mutes to hear words that they cannot pronounce, and so humans are essentially handicapped among the tirades. The creature's senses are much more developed than ours, with the exception of their sight, which appears deficient. We are unable to communicate without the language pack, which the tirades have called the bridge. Poetically, in light of the bridge it has become between our 2 species. From a technical standpoint, the pack is simple. It is merely an olfactory substance synthesizer which generates them from an ethanol essences and amplifies them effectively. A neutral gas ensures their diffusion within 3 or 4 meter radius. A new model is being studied, which would allow for greater propagation, up to 15-meter radius, to address not only the isolated individual, but also to address a group or a crowd. Okay, HO Human Outlook. Read that already. Various pheromone responses. What follows are some of the tirade language concepts, which will be shown to be very contextual and vary in syntax on circumstances and the interlocutors. Reading Nightcrawler, Scaled Stag, Rambling Flower. A plus A becomes immobilized for a few seconds and resumes its original state. So, I guess this is Rambling Flower. This is... were they talking to the actual plants? Because the game's lore so far has stated that the plants themselves are sentient to a degree, and they respond to stimuli and presumably also use the same pheromones, so maybe we'll be talking to some plants down the line. Moves towards the emission source, modifies behavior, moves towards the emission source, becomes immobilized. Flees from the emission source, launches a pheromone response. Okay, it's all pretty complicated to me, and as I said, if I ever have to do it in a hurry, I don't think this is going to work. The giant clam pheromone Omega. The united, often harmonious appearance of the Tirades universe is deceiving. In reality, two forces work against one another. Two polar opposites exist. The language reflects the primary duality by introducing the omega pheromone, which coupled with any other create a contrary significance. The joy emotion becomes melancholy when combined with an omega. Similarly, want becomes languor, while restraint becomes impatience. We have long believed that the omega pheromone was a natural product, glandular, of the subspecies of tirades raised for their secretions, much like sheep are raised for their wool, but further study revealed the error. In reality, it is a plant that secretes omega, locked into gaseous bubbles. A nice specimen of the vegetal being is called the giant clam and is found in the highland forest. Okay, this is the repeat of the table from before. Ascending Abyss User's Guide. The Ascending Abyss is the first example of a successful collaboration between the Tirades and humans, built together from a natural device. It is at once a wind catalyst that collects and amplifies subterranean air movements, and in this capacity is part of the olfactory identity of the Tirade population, still yet ill-defined, and serves as a surprisingly swift vehicle, allowing Tirades to travel great distance without considerable efforts. Some believe it is alive. Anyway, its power is not within everyone's grasp. To make use of it, one must engage in a kind of dialogue, which unfolds as follows. The traveler provides his identifier, the Abyss provides the identifier. The traveler provides his state, the Abyss provides its state. The traveler gives his orders, the Abyss confirms the traveler's orders. The Abyss provides the actual parameters for the voyage. The traveler encodes the voyage parameters and enters them in a numeric format. The Abyss confirms the location, departure. The traveler should carefully select his identifying pheromones, which will describe his state and represent his order. Further, he must correctly translate the parameters of the voyage from the lists I've prepared. The smallest of errors will result in a serious consequence, including the complete paralysis of the Abyss. Traveling through the Abyss is to manipulate a fragile and precious instrument, which will suffer damage between unable hands. Okay. Dissociative disorders and sensory impairments. I am writing this memo quickly after having looked through the medical file provided to me by Dr. Malik. I wanted to get a prescription for eyeglasses, but now that he has attributed my visual impairment and my hearing loss to a psychogenic source, According to him, it is my extreme isolation and the deleterious? I don't know that word. Influence of the Tyrate atmosphere that explains my ill health. My mental health appears to him unstable. He indicates dissociative disorder with sensory impairments, with latent schizophrenic responses, and other such alarming symptoms. I don't know what to think of his conclusions. Of course, Malik is known to push the envelope. Nothing like a dramatic diagnosis to keep his patients loyal. But is there any truth to what he has written? I admit, I've not lived well with the solitude required by the exterior base and the proximity of the tirade. Gladly that doctor is there to lend support. Okay, and the travel list and explanation. This is surely going to be crucial for actually crossing the abyss, as dictated here. Complement wind list. Crossed wind velocity, which is apparent direction, to obtain corresponding tirade's code. Okay, so depending on which direction I want to travel, I have to input a particular number, as well as state how quickly do I want to go. I guess maybe Lea will provide that, and then I have to translate it into a numerical form. Comment temperature list. Recuperate the change of temperature with the average to obtain the appropriate tirade code. Humidity list. To cross the change in moisture levels with the average moisture level to obtain the corresponding tirade code. Comment pressures. Recuperate the change of pressure with the average to obtain the tirade code. Okay, I don't really understand the significance of it in full, so hopefully she will elaborate a little bit when it is time to actually go. But for now, let's explore this lab area a little bit more. Okay, it seems she's not particularly interested in that. I just want to explore all of this platform to make sure I didn't leave anything that was important.
This doesn't look like a camera add-on. What's it for? Let's load and see.
To me, it looks exactly like a camera add-on. The previous ones looked pretty similar.
Now that's a useful program. It's a remote control for the language pack.
Ah.
I don't really remember how to use it. Oh yes, it's coming back to me. The pack lets you emit pheromones, enabling you to talk inside the Tyriad's world. With this device, you can have conversations with the creatures in this universe, but you can also send messages or warnings. As you may have read in the manual, the pack emits pheromones that elicit emotions. These can be used as signals between us. For example, I remember testing the epsilon pheromone in the lab. Depending on its concentration, it elicits restraint, even temperance. If you emit some when we're alone, I'll take that as you suggesting I be vigilant.
Why do I need to use that to communicate with her? She's a human. You know, we could just write each other messages in the computer system or something. It seems pretty complicated. The overall, I am a little bit overwhelmed with the language system. As I said, especially if I am expected to use it in a hurry. Oh damn it, I don't want to go back actually. Will she go back? Nope. That's good, because I didn't really want that. Hopefully there will be like a practice round. Maybe I'll encounter some plant that can't,
Another add-on? Let's check it out.
that can't really hurt me. And I'll have some opportunity to train talking in the Tyrade's language.
It's an audio decryption device. It translates what the Tyriads are saying when you point it at them. But it must only be a rough translation. The language of these creatures remains quite a mystery for our researchers.
Okay. Well, that's potentially pretty useful. I think that's everything, so let's go.
Speaking of which, did I tell you? The portable camera is motorized and pivots in all directions. This could be very useful. I'll watch its movements, and then I'll know what's captured your attention. We could also agree that in certain circumstances, I'll walk in the same direction that the lens is pointing. What do you think?
Ah, so I guess now I'm kind of directly controlling her? That's kind of trippy and takes some getting used to. But I guess she still walks in the direction of the light, so I think I'll just stay with that. Unless I notice something particularly fascinating, and then I'll move the actual camera.
I've had this weird feeling ever since I passed through the doors. While this is all new to me and doesn't look like anything I've ever known, I still seem to recognize particular details, as if I'd been here before.
Okay, there's some kind of a machinery here.
Where does this feeling come from? Could I have been here before?
Could I have been here before? Because I still don't know if I am indeed...
Strange, this light. I can't seem to locate its source. It looks like it's emanating from the walls. Unless it comes from the dust floating up above.
I'm not sure if I am indeed 112, and I have somehow returned and then, I don't know, lost some of my memory of this place. Because it's clear that I have some kind of supernatural...
This tunnel was not dug by humans, that's for sure. I'm not convinced it's a natural tunnel either. I wonder if Tyriads have architects, if they construct buildings like us, or if they just inhabit the shelters they find.
I clearly have some form of supernatural ability because I have had those flashbacks, which seem to have not always... Like, I was sometimes witnessing scenes from a third person, almost, which is pretty weird. And it was also directly linked with her visions. Like, whenever I was having flashbacks, it seemed she was having flashbacks as well. Okay, is this one of
It's blocked.
Can I talk to it? Is it saying anything? Okay, I don't think so. She would have commented if I could, I think. So let's go over here. Whoa, that's pretty cool looking, although also kind of intimidating.
Very strange, these forms, these colors. I know botanists that would kill to be in my shoes right now.
Huh. Okay, that was, on the other hand, pretty underwhelming and embarrassing. Where she just walked right through one of the creatures.
If only I had a specimen kit. These ones are spectacular.
Okay. I want to explore the cavern fully before leaving, so I assume this goes into the abyss, and then I'll need to put in the coordinates so that I can leave. Well, leave, or rather travel further into the Tyrate's world.
It's blocked. I have an idea. Do you think that the plants respond to pheromone emissions? That we might be able to make an effect with an olfactory message? Bah, let's give it a shot and see what happens.
So
May I remind you that you can use the language pack to emit pheromones. The device emits a kind of cloud of them.
Yeah, I want passage, basically. So, how do I...
Fine, you're not listening. I'll try it myself.
Oh.
I knew it. Amazing. We can communicate with the plants. So maybe we can get them to move out of the way?
Yes, I was trying to do that, I just don't know how to do that on the spot. Is it saying anything? Okay, so it's saying...
Is it working? I know the language pack isn't easy to use, but once mastered, anyone can use it.
It's saying...
The first row of buttons at the top of the device corresponds to its different pheromone capabilities, alpha, beta, gamma. The pack can synthesize 5 out of the 7 right now. We'll need to look for the other 2.
It's saying...
When your cursor hovers over a pheromone, it will display its name, its chemical composition, its effect under normal concentrations, and its effect under high concentrations. The last line describes the opposite effects, produced through certain mixes. Finally, the bottom row of buttons help regulate the emission. Once the 2 pheromones placed in the 2 bottom boxes are mixed, click on the middle button to emit them. I'm not familiar with the purpose of the third box, the one that completes the triangle. Maybe it's designed for a special kind of pheromone.
It says temperance, but what am I supposed to... Like, I'm supposed to answer like the opposite or something? But how do you make an opposite of epsilon epsilon? Like, I don't quite understand that, to be honest. I don't want to be aggressive, or do I? Do I want to threaten it? Huh. But there was... I think there was a way to... Yeah, beta is want. I want what? I want passage. Huh. Aggressive.
Finally, the Tyriad's world is ours to explore. I will find 112.
Okay, I'm kind of lost here. How do I respond with an opposite of epsilon epsilon? That's what I don't really understand. Yeah, I don't think I want to be aggressive, although this would be the opposite, kind of. But I don't think it's what the guide has in mind. proceed. Okay, I'll try this, omega epsilon. Just to see what happens, basically. I don't have omega yet, so I guess that goes out of the window. She isn't much help. Yeah, I've spammed random bullshit at this thing, and it must probably think I'm crazy, which, you know, I very much am. Like, I have no idea what I'm actually doing, so that's pretty much analogous to acting crazy, if not being crazy. To be honest, at this point I cannot even discern which one is my response and which one is what it was saying. Maybe it wasn't ever saying anything and I'm just talking random bullshit at it. It's actually kind of hilarious. Like, imagine you're a sentient plant and there comes this human just spouting random bullshit in your language, clearly having no idea what it's doing. Impatience. Submissive. I think I tried that. Okay, I don't really know what I'm doing. Well, I guess maybe I'll try just...
I can't get through.
Ah, okay. It leads through here
no,
anyway.
No, it's blocked that way. I would need a machete.
Well, so I do need to somehow communicate with it, but I have no idea what I'm doing.
I'm not going into that jungle.
Like, literally none. Like, I don't know what the opposite of epsilon epsilon is, according to this. Because epsilon epsilon is temperance. What is the opposite of temperance? To be honest, I'm not even sure I understand what temperance is. So, which might be part of the problem. Is it like restraint or something? Is that what temperance means? But I don't have the omega, so like clearly it has the two same ones. So theoretically, my response should also be the two same ones. So what's the opposite of? Assuming that temperance is restraint, which I think it is. It's like being withdrawn and reserved. So what's the opposite? It's like mania or something. Euphoria. So two of those. And this is the strength, right? Well, let's go all the way. Did it move? She didn't say anything. Oh, okay, so...
Thanks. I don't know what I'd do without you.
To be honest, I'm not even sure what I'm doing, but I guess that kind of worked. So I have to remember that the opposite of temperance is euphoria, apparently. So let's continue onwards.
It's blocked.
Okay, so what is it saying? If anything. Is it saying anything? Not that I know of. So how do I respond? Well, I try the same thing again. Euphoria. Did it work?
No, it's blocked that way. I would need a machete.
I think it worked on one of them, because it clearly moved, at least to a degree. So let's try this again. Okay, might not be it. It seems to work, unless it's not really.
Thanks. I don't know what I'd do without you.
Okay, so I was going the other way all this time. So communicating with the other one wasn't even needed. What's this? I guess she doesn't care, which is weird, because you'd think she would find a control panel to be important. To be honest, I barely know what I'm doing, and I'm not seeing my chances of successfully navigating the Tyrade's world as being particularly high. Okay, this seems to go to another section.
Finally, the exit. I never thought I'd make it. Thanks for your help. Look, an area server switch. Strange to find one here so far from the doors. Quite a feat to have connected to the network so far. All right, I'm flicking the switch.
Okay. Tirade zone crossroads.
A Tyriads! Quick, hide!
Well, I think it's up to you. I'm not literally
He doesn't look aggressive, and for some reason, his physiognomy inspires trust. He's projecting strange light particles.
Does
What
it
could
really?
they be?
To me, it seems kind of terrifying. The head, especially. Seems like something out of a creepypasta.
The language pack is responding, but the message makes no sense. A string of words without logic? If this creature is talking, it must be using an evolved language that the device doesn't understand. Darn, what are we going to do?
Welcome. I am Miljan. Understand, Professor? Long time I wait. Eternal patience. Eyes closed, but mind awake. 112 cent, Miljan. 112 alive. Happy to welcome you. Understand, Professor? I also speak human language. I will speak for you.
Okay, that's pretty creepy how it speaks without moving its mouth.
Who are you? Can you understand me?
I understand you very well, Lea. My name is Miljan. I belong to the Unique Elixir Caste, the Communication Tyriads group. Though other Tyriads consider us as inferior beings, we possess a quality that they do not. We can hear human language. I realize it's difficult to understand us. The language pack, designed by your friends, is ingenious, but it only interprets a small sample of the hundreds of pheromones used by the communication Tyriads. In fact, I see that yours isn't yet equipped with the omega pheromone, one of the most important in our vocabulary. This pheromone inverts the meaning and the effect of whichever one it is combined with. You absolutely need to obtain some. It comes from a plant that's locked inside gaseous bubbles, a beautiful specimen from the highland forest. I suggest you leave immediately to find one. The entrance to the forest is that way. Hold on, Professor. I must tell you something else. Do you think you've met me by accident? Truth be told, it is 112 who sent me.
112, the receptor? But how is that possible?
112 is alive. He never stopped waiting for you over all these years, and he chose me to lead you to him. Without delay, you must undertake a long voyage to the secret cave where 112 awaits you. Ancient prophecy has foretold of this union, the union between 112, you and me, on which depends the emergence of a third race, a pledge of peace between humans and Tyriads. The cave is the site of convergence from where the prophecy must be fulfilled.
But how do we get to this cave?
There is a way to reach it quickly, through the ascending abyss that we use to travel long distances. When you reach the abyss, I'll help you enable it.
I'm not sure I understand all of this.
Yes, it is a bit complicated. Unfortunately, there isn't enough time to provide you all the details. What you must know is that the Tyriads community is in crisis, one of the biggest in its history. This is the year when, according to tradition, a new queen must ascend to the throne. Tension between the castes is high. In my own caste, members of the Unique Elixir are harassed by all the others. Combat Tyriads are the most hounded. They've led many attacks. Careful.
What is it?
Sentinels. They're approaching. I'll divert them elsewhere.
But
I'll find you at the ascending abyss. But first, you'll need to retrieve the omega pheromone in the highland forest. Good luck.
give me a few seconds to update our objectives.
To be honest, I find the sudden inclusion of a talking tirade, talking in the human language, to be a bit of a cop-out. Like, as much as I am an idiot and not really understand how the language pack works, I do appreciate it. I do appreciate the fact that the alien race, speaks in a way that is fundamentally different to humans, and it would be cool if the game committed 100% to that idea. I find the sudden inclusion of a Tyriad that speaks, perfectly human words to be kind of lazy, and really the waste of a concept such as the one that was developed before with the pheromones and whatnot. Okay, so I'm looking for one of the plants. Not really sure where to look for it, but I guess maybe Lea will comment if she notices something that looks promising. And also, I'm kind of confused still about the identity of the player character, because if 112 is indeed waiting, in the middle of the Tyriad world, then clearly I am not him, which leaves the question of who am I exactly and why do I have, am I one of the other receptors? But it seems unlikely, because it seems 112 was the last one before the base was pretty much destroyed. So okay, she doesn't respond to me wanting her to go to here. I guess maybe she'll go from here to here if possible, but I don't know if she can even cross that distance. Doesn't look like it, because there's like a literal chasm in the middle. Will she go all the way around? If so, then it's kind of weird how it's based strictly on proximity. Like, she didn't respond when I clicked over here because it was too far away, and yet she did respond when I clicked onto here because in a straight line it was closer. And now she's presumably going to go across. Yeah, that's what it looks like. To be honest, while I'm here, I might try to get her to make a detour over here, just to check what's there. Okay, so I don't think this is the plant, because I think she would have commented on it already if it was. Once again, I feel like she's kind of stuck, so I'm clicking for her to go there, and she isn't doing anything. Huh, weird. She reacted to that, even though this was farther away, so I don't quite really understand how that works anymore. But again, I'll have her detour over here just to be sure. I didn't actually accidentally miss the plant. Seems there's nothing here. Well, let's go back. Okay, this seems to be a crossroads into some other level. It is literally called the crossroads, so I guess that makes sense. And she's Million, the tirade, said something about the flower being in a forest, which might be a different level altogether. Highland Forest, yeah, right. Okay. Another flashback, or whatever it is, a vision.
Help! Someone! Oh no. I'm lost. Someone!
Is everything all right, young human?
Who are you?
All these nightmares, they seem so real. The further I enter the Tyriad's universe, the more it seems familiar. These images and sounds, they're all coming back to me. I'm almost certain now. I've been here before. But when and why? Where are we going? We have to find that flower that emits pheromones, but this forest is so big, may as well look for a needle in a haystack. I'm so tired. I didn't think it would be so hard or take so long.
Well, if I had to guess...
Why didn't 112 wait for me behind the Tyriad's doors? Or even meet me back on the ship? We could have traveled to the cave together. So many questions, so few answers. I've had it. That's all I needed. A combat Tyriads. Where can I hide? I think this forest has more inhabitants than it looks. We're going to have to be careful. If there are sentinels hanging around, we need to avoid them at all costs. I'm counting on you to guide me to the plant, and then to the exit. You think the plant is that way?
Well, I would prefer if you stayed in place for a second. If I had to guess, I would say this is the plant. So, let's maximize this. Still, I am confused about 112's identity and his relation to me, because why am I having the same flashbacks as she, and why is she seeing him? Like, it was clearly I was looking through his eyes, and it was his encounter with Melian or Mylin or whatever the tirade was called that understood human language. But who am I as the player character? That's what I don't get at this moment. But this episode has been long enough, so I am going to save here and continue navigating the forest next time. So that's all for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.